Can you be free if freedom requires genocide? That's the question Attack on Titan forces us to confront. And I'm not talking about some abstract philosophical debate. I'm talking about Eren Yeager, character who started as a symbol of liberation and ended as the architect of humanity's near extinction. But here's what most people miss: Eren's story isn't about whether genocide is justified. It's about the fundamental paradox of autonomy itself. It's a zero-sum game where one side's freedom requires the other's annihilation. And once you see this strategic trap, you can unsee it. Let me show you the game theory behind it. When we first meet Eren, he's a child watching his mother get eaten alive. The image is burned into our minds. Her hand reaching out, Eren screaming, powerless. In that moment, Eren makes a vow: I will destroy every last Titan. Simple, right? A boy seeking revenge. A hero's origin story. But Attack on Titan doesn't do simple, because that vow minus that burning desire for autonomy becomes the very thing that enslaves him. From a strategic standpoint, Eren falls into what game theorists call the sunk cost fallacy. From the moment his mother dies, his entire existence is defined by one goal: eliminate the Titans. He joins the Survey Corps. He learns to fight. He discovers he can transform into a Titan himself. Every choice, every sacrifice, every drop of blood, all in service of that singular purpose. The more he invests in this path, the harder it becomes to walk away. He thinks he's fighting for liberation, but he's actually building his own cage. This reveals a fundamental psychological barrier, because Eren isn't unique. Every character in Attack on Titan is enslaved by something. Kenny Ackerman, the man who raised Levi, he understood this better than anyone. In his final moments, bleeding out, he asks, everyone had to be drunk on something to keep pushing on. What was it for you? Power, family, dreams, God, love, hatred. We're all drunk on something. We all have that thing that drives us forward, that gives our suffering meaning. And we call it purpose. We call it passion. We call it freedom. But Kenny saw the truth. It's just another form of slavery. Eren was drunk on freedom itself, and that's the paradox. The more he fought to be free, the more enslaved he became to the fight. Let me take you to the moment everything changes. Eren kisses Historia's hand. In that instant, through the power of the founding Titan, he sees everything. Past, present, future, all of it, simultaneously. He sees the rumbling. He sees himself commanding the colossal Titans to flatten the world. He sees billions of people crushed beneath their feet. He sees his friends trying to stop him. He sees his own death. And here's the thing that breaks your brain: he sees that he's the one who makes it all happen. Now, most people ask, did Eren have a choice? But that's the wrong question. Because Attack on Titan isn't interested in simple free will versus determinism. It's asking something far more disturbing. What if you're free to choose, but you're not free from the consequences of who you are? Eren sees the future. He knows what he's going to do, and he does it anyway, not because he has to, but because he can't imagine being anyone other than who he is. That's not determinism. That's something worse. That's being enslaved by your own nature. Let's talk about the rumbling itself, because this is where Attack on Titan stops being a story and becomes a philosophical nightmare. Eren activates the founding Titan. Millions of colossal Titans rise from the walls of Paradise Island. They march across the ocean. They crush cities. They trample forests. They turn the world into a graveyard. Eren's justification? He's protecting Paradise. He's ensuring his people can live free from the threat of the outside world. He's breaking the cycle of hatred by eliminating everyone who hates them. It's utilitarianism taken to its logical extreme. The greatest good for the greatest number. Except in this case, the greatest number is a tiny island nation, and the good requires the extinction of everyone else. But here's what makes it philosophically fascinating. Eren doesn't even believe his own justification. In his final conversation with Armin, Eren admits the truth. I don't know why. I just had to. When I learned that humanity existed beyond the walls, I was disappointed. Disappointed, not angry, not afraid, disappointed. Because the world wasn't the blank canvas of freedom had imagined. It was full of people with their own wills, their own desires, their own right to exist. And that meant his freedom, true, absolute freedom, was impossible. So he chose to destroy the obstacle, not for Paradise, Not for his friends, for himself. For the childish dream of a world as empty and free as the one he imagined beyond the walls. Now, let's contrast this with Armin, because Armin represents the opposite path to freedom. Where Eren seeks freedom through destruction, Armin seeks it through understanding. Where Eren sees the world as an obstacle, Armin sees it as a place worth exploring. Remember the scene where Armin describes the ocean to Eren? His eyes are full of wonder. He's talking about salt water and marine life and the sheer vastness of it all. And Eren? Eren is staring across the ocean, thinking about the enemies on the other side. Same ocean. Two completely different worlds. Armin's freedom is the freedom to discover, to learn, to connect. It's a freedom that expands with every new person he meets. Armin's freedom is the freedom from interference. It's a freedom that destroys. And here's the tragedy. Both of them are right. And both of them are wrong. From a strategic standpoint, Attack on Titan explores what sovereignty costs. Erwin Smith understood this better than anyone. The man who led the Survey Corps, who sacrificed thousands of soldiers for the dream of reaching the basement. Here's the strategic brilliance of Erwin's character. He recognized the sunk cost fallacy and chose to walk away from it. Erwin's dream was to prove his father's theory. But Erwin understood something Eren never did. Sometimes the most strategic move is to abandon your strategy entirely. He chose to die leading one final charge. Not for humanity, not for the truth, but to free himself from the burden of his own ambition. He refused to let his past investments dictate his final choice. That's the cost of true agency. Erwin made the ultimate strategic sacrifice. He gave up his own game. Now let's talk about the Ackermans. Levi and Mikasa. Descendants of a bloodline engineered to protect. Once they choose someone to protect, their entire being becomes oriented around that person's survival. Mikasa chose Eren. And for years, people debated, is her love real or is it just instinct? But Attack on Titan gives us the answer in the most brutal way possible. In the end, Mikasa kills Eren. She cuts off his head while kissing him. She chooses humanity over the person her instincts tell her to protect. That's freedom. Not the absence of constraints, but the ability to act against your own nature when it matters most. Levi, too, makes this choice. He promises Erwin hell kill the beast Titan. But when the moment comes, when he has Zeke helpless in front of him, he lets him live. Levi chooses to be free from his own promise. And then there's Ymir, the original founder. Her story reveals the most horrifying strategic trap of all, the prison you build for yourself. She had absolute power, yet chose to remain enslaved to King Fritz. Why? Because she couldn't imagine an alternative. Eren frees Ymir not by giving her power. She already had that minus, but by giving her permission to choose, and she chooses the rumbling. But is she truly free? Let's bring this back to the central question. Can you be free if freedom requires genocide? Attack on Titan doesn't give us a clean answer. Eren achieves his freedom. He flattens 80% of the world, and then he dies. Paradis survives. For a while. But eventually, war comes again. Because you can't eliminate hatred by eliminating people. Armin's path, the path of understanding, it's harder. But it's the only path that doesn't end in extinction. So what's the answer? I think it's this. Freedom isn't the absence of constraints. It's the ability to choose which constraints you accept. We're all enslaved by something. The question is, what are we willing to be constrained by? True autonomy isn't about having no limits. It's about choosing your limits strategically. It's about being like Mikasa, acting against instinct. It's about being like Erwin, giving up the dream. And it's about not being like Erwin, so obsessed with unfettered will that you become its slave. Now here's your strategic homework. What are you enslaved by? Identify your cage. Am I Eren fighting so hard for freedom that I've become its prisoner? Or am I Erwin brave enough to walk away from my sunk costs? The choice is yours. Subscribe, we're just getting started.